What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of quality of life and big changes that are coming to Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. Today, October 13th, 2021 at 9 a.m. was an embargo lifted on several content creators and news outlets that were allowed to see a 40-minute hands-off preview, mostly through Zoom, on brand new Pokemon Diamond and Pearl footage. I can speak firsthand that whenever they do one of these events, there is a very strict embargo regarding the amount of footage that you're allowed to show, how many things you're allowed to say, specifically what you can and cannot talk about. I actually have my fun cover page letter here. It's blown out right now, you can't see it too well. My cover page letter here from my Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon embargo. That's the only page I could show you. I cannot show you the subsequent 6 pages involved in the embargo. That then changed 3 times throughout the entire reviewing process. Fun stuff. But for an event like this, there's a very limited amount of things that they're allowed to share with you. So I went around and I read, so far I found 5 news articles and 4 YouTube videos that went over stuff. And while almost all of them, except for Game Explain, shout out to Tris from Game Explain, actually talking about this like an actual real Pokemon fan. Dude was great for Animal Crossing and Pokemon stuff. Shout out to him. Most of them are just trying to sell you on this and focusing on the points that Nintendo wants them to focus on. But I basically consolidated all of it down throughout, so you don't need to watch these 5 videos and read these 5 articles. So, by the way, if you've been wondering where I've been, I've actually been playing a absolutely disgusting amount of New World, the first time I've ever played an MMO with my buddy Philly Beatsu. You may remember him from the Ultralock. We are on the Cedar Forest server, USA, whatever it's called, and we're Marauders. If you want to join our company, which is super dope, and we craft tools for you and everything else, then join the server and find us in game. We're always there. We're the green ones. Or go to Philly's stream at twitch.tv/PhillyBeatsYou and just bother him about it and be like, hey, I know you from Austin's Ultralock videos. He'll absolutely love that. Can we join your company? If you don't have any friends who are playing the game, we'd love to be your friend and play with that game. By the way, it's a PC-only Steam game from Amazon. That is $30. Great. I'll see you there. Let's get into the video. First of all, everyone received a 40-minute hands-off preview. Most likely what their embargo for this listed is that we're going to be giving you several clips. You could show X amount of footage from X amount of clips. And I think there may have also been a limit on the duration of the video because it seems like all of them end around the 5.5-6 minute mark, except for Game Explains, which was more of a Q&A style, so maybe that's a fun workaround for the embargo that they spoke with their rep about, or as I call it, their handler. By the way, shout out to Kate, who used to work for Nintendo, now works for over there, Google, YouTube. Hey, how you doing? She was my handler. She's good people. Met her at Nintendo New York for the Mario Odyssey release. Okay, first things first, something every single person has been talking about. There was absolutely no context in the trailer. When we saw the Poketch, and then we saw that there were the HMs listed there, the variety of Pokemon listed there, and the lack of explanation and lack of UI led us to believe that that was showing us our HMs from our Pokemon's inventory. This has been proven to be inaccurate. In fact, you are no longer required to teach HMs to your Pokemon to traverse the overworld, which this is huge. There are 8 HMs in this game, but now you no longer have to have 1/3 of your entire party's Pokemon knowing these specific HM moves. Instead, in the Poketch, you're going to pull it up, you're going to press the button, and it's going to do the thing. In addition, they have returned the prompt of pressing A, meaning that if you're looking at climbable rocks, you press A and then we'll automatically climb the rocks for you instead of you having to stand in front, take out the Poketch, choose rock climb, and then it will do it. The same goes for strength, rock smash, probably surf as well, things like that. This is absolutely enormous because everyone had a Bidoof on their team and maybe they evolved it or not. By the way, I learned that the proper term for what Bidoof was is now called an HM Mule. Next most important thing is that there is autosave and you can turn it off. Traditional Pokemon players do not like autosave, and you definitely do not want autosave if you're going to be spamming a save in front of a legendary Pokemon. Last thing you want is you accidentally knock it out, you got to go to the bathroom, you sat down, and it auto-saved. Instead, before those major battles or specific points in time, you can freely turn it on and off, which is fantastic. Third most important thing, there is modern typing involved, meaning that fairy type is going to be introduced, which is super helpful because in this game you had Spiritomb. Spiritomb had no weaknesses in this generation. I think Sableye also had the same typing, but you don't really think of Sableye as being too OP of a Pokemon, right? With that, also, there are going to be fairy type moves, which is going to be helpful, especially against people like Cynthia, who is the final trainer of the game. Speaking of Cynthia and the final trainer of the game, in 4th generation, there was a very, very large gap between the highest level Pokemon of the 8th gym and the Pokemon of the Elite Four, including Cynthia. I think it was like an 11 or 15 level gap. Now, they just expect you to go off and grind. In my first playthrough that I did a couple months ago, I didn't do that grind, and through strategizing a lot, I was able to make my way through the Elite Four on my first try. But then again, you know, I'm a Pokemon master, so it is what it is. They are going to be reintroducing the modern system of the experience share, which means that instead of it being a held item for one Pokemon, instead when it's in your inventory, all of the Pokemon are going to be getting experience. This is very helpful for that reason. I have not seen anyone talk about if you are able to turn it on and off. If you recall in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it was fixed to be on, and I don't remember Sword and Shield. It seems like they're going to be using the modern experience system. If you didn't know, there was a big change in the experience system that was introduced. I think it was X and Y was introduced. It used to be if you caught a Pokemon, you didn't get experience, only if you defeated a wild or trained Pokemon in battle. However, they made it so that if you catch a Pokemon, you will be getting experience, which obviously helps if you like going out and grinding and catching a whole bunch of wild Pokemon. You are experiencing your team with that. Compounded with the modern style experience share, you're going to be getting a lot more experience in the game, which is going to be very helpful. There was no mention of a specific mechanic that was introduced in the later generations, which is the underlevel overlevel system. Made it so if you are a level 12 Pokemon fighting a level 15 and you win, you get more experience than if you were both level 12, and significantly more experience than if you were level 12 and it was level 5. It sort of penalized you for defeating lower level Pokemon and sort of rewarded you for defeating higher level Pokemon. While we're talking about trainers, one person mentioned on Vooks.com, defeating trainers also seem to give more money compared to the original counterparts. And that seems like it might be a helpful thing. It seems like it may make the game easier, but that also goes hand in hand with the next point I'm going to talk about. I actually planned this out pretty well. We are not getting infinite TM usage. Generation 4 was the last generation that had single-use TMs, and in Generation 5, they became multi-use TMs. Oh, great example, the TRs. Now that we have TRs in Pokemon Sword and Shield, how those are single-use, it's going to be exactly like that, but that's for the TMs. Now, there were TMs that you could purchase, like Thunderbolt or maybe it was Thunder and Blizzard, and I think Joe Merrick mentioned this on Twitter, that the TR issue wasn't really an issue in Sword and Shield because if you do a lot of max rage ends, they literally chuck them at you. But now, is there going to be a way that we can farm these, or are they going to be more purchasable? Are the prices going to go down, or the simple fact that we're receiving more money from Pokemon trainer battles, is that going to help counter that? Fun little quality of life improvement that's been present in the more modern games is that you're going to get your option between character sprites. There are going to be 4 different skin tones, as we've grown accustomed to in more recent generations. In addition to, there are 2 genders of trainer that you can choose, 4 looking more masculine and 4 looking more feminine. There was no mention of it, although I would presume that they're no longer using the terms male and female, as that has been the trend in Pokemon games recently. Instead, it just says, choose your appearance. That's it. Keep it vague. Everyone's happy. Oh, this is huge. PC swap, anytime. Anytime that you're, I think, out in the overworld, there was no mention about specific dungeons and caves. They just said anytime that you want, you could swap Pokemon from your party with Pokemon in storage. Supposedly, we're going to be able to do that either from the menu or from the Pokétch. I don't know specifically because they didn't go over that in detail, but this is something that's been introduced in more recent games, and honestly, I'm not mad at it. It's a single player experience. Play it however you want. If you want to swap Pokemon on the fly, I don't think you should have to go back to a Pokemon Center in order to do that. Especially now that you no longer require HMs, the whole idea of setting off on your expedition with this fixed team is gone. Know what I mean? While we're talking about your expeditions, this is a bit of a stretch here. These super effective moves have returned, meaning that when you are in a Pokemon battle, after you have battled the Pokemon for the first time and you defeated it, or even if you didn't defeat it and you white it out, when you go back into battle because the Pokemon was registered in your Pokedex as seen, now when you go into the battle, you are going to be getting a little thing that says if a move is super effective or not very effective. If you're only familiar with the more modern generation of Pokemon games, you're gonna be like, yeah, that's always there. In Generation 4, it was not there. You had to calculate it in your head, the type of move and the type of effectiveness on the type of opposing Pokemon. And now that Fairy's in the game, I'm very happy they did that, because I don't know why, but I just can't learn Fairy. I know that you hit it with Steel and Poison, and that's all I remember. There's many more things for me to remember. Something about fire? I don't know. Something that I didn't explore too much in my time playing Pearl was the Poffin creation and the competition. But according to the news articles, Poffin creation is no longer better with other players. Meaning that in the original games, you would connect online with the Nintendo DS Wi-Fi and you'd be able to have other people throw Poffins in there or throw berries in there to help you make better Poffins. Now it seems like that whole concept is null and void. Instead, a single player can make just as powerful as a Poffin as if you were to do 4 people throwing in more berries previously. It has not been mentioned yet if that feature is exclusive to the Amity Square or not. That has a berry blender in there. Don't know yet. Quick little mention, I think it was pretty obvious, but I might as well say it anyways. There are no overworld Pokemon. Instead, we're going back to the traditional walk in the grass, and then wild Pokemon happens to be there, except for in the underground area that it appears to be overworld Pokemon only and not wild Pokemon just popping up like in a cave similar to the Let's Go Pikachu Eevee system. Instead, it's more like the wild area system from Sword and Shield, as long as you weren't in a patch of grass. Know what I mean? Oh, while we're talking about the Grand Underground, which is fantastic, Polygon states this exact phrase: fill out your base with Pokemon statues you collect while dowsing. That's when you have the hidden item thing happening. Combinations of these statues will have special effects on the rest of the underground. For instance, if you place 3 statues of bug-type Pokemon in your secret base, you'll see more bug types in the rooms elsewhere in the zone. This is what I theorized in my analysis video. I do want to show one quick screen cap from IGN. In this screen cap right here, we see that there are 4 different statues. Unknown takes up a tile slot of 1 by 1. Electivire and Gallade take up slots of 3 by 3. And Probopass takes up a slot of 2 by 2. In addition, we see small icons right next to them. We have learned that the more statues that you put down, the predominant typing is going to be boosted. There has been no mention of secondary typing or if it creates a tier system. Right now, it just seems like the most predominant one is the only one that's affected in that zone. I imagine that if it were tied between, you know, if I put down 2 fire statues and 2 grass statues, regardless of the second typing, that whichever one had larger models would become the more predominant, as we've seen in the previous trailer when there was the large Charizard statue. We could also see here that you could place a total of 18 statues, which essentially means you could just flood your whole base with it. I'm kind of upset that you can't place all of the unknown in a single room. I think that'd be pretty fun. And what's not on screen, let's scroll down. You can see right here, straight across past the IGN logo, that the little globe thing is yellow, symbolizing that electric type is going to be the one that's currently boosted with the current configuration. In addition, we have seen footage in the past that included only a Charizard and a Venusaur that were Jade statues, as opposed to everything else that looked like a stone statue. Many people theorized that this was going to be a reference to when you were able to put in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green into the bottom of the DS. We have seen other Pokemon in the various news articles appear in Jade. So No mention yet on the specific differences between jade statues versus stone statues, effectiveness, rarity, how to obtain, or anything else like that. And the very last point that I want to speak on is regarding to the grand contests, which seems as though it has been completely reworked. In the original game, I did it once because it took like 10 minutes and I had no idea what was going on and it seemed absolutely pointless. It seems as though it's been completely overhauled, and thanks to corroborative efforts of what these people have said, Grand Contest game is now more like a 2-minute game than a 10-minute game, exact quote from Game Explain. And it's a rhythm-based mini-game now, and there's no longer waiting prompts and everything else like that. There's going to be 5 different types of contests, and each of the 5 different contests has 4 different levels of difficulty. Comicbook.com said this, and I quote, "We confirm that the different contests have their own variations based on the type chosen and the level of difficulty to prevent the contest from becoming too monotonous. Multiplayer contests also return so players can play with each other instead of facing the AI over and over and over again." There was no clarification on what the variations are, if it's just a different song or if it's a different tempo. I would imagine the more difficult levels are a faster tempo since it is a rhythm-based game. Maybe there's more buttons you need to input. No clarification on that yet. And that is all of the important things that I have found throughout all of the articles with absolutely no fluff. You know that the game looks different, you know it's sort of chibi like Link's Awakening. No reason for me to talk about those things, just the facts. That's what we're here about. Facts, efficiency, get things done. Great. Guys, if you found this video helpful, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button down below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. Until next time, Austin John out. Include this little bit in the beginning.